Hey there, BTech students. I'm Mrs. Sonali Basak, coming to you from the ECE department of SVISST. If you're studying information theory and coding, grasping cyclic codes is absolutely essential. So today we're going to break it all down step by step in this explainer. Let's dive right in, shall we? Here's a quick look at our agenda. We're moving logically from theory straight into application. First up, the basics of cyclic codes. Second, polynomials in code algebra. Third, non-systematic code generation. And finally, systematic code generation. All right, Section 1, Basics of Cyclic Codes. Defining the rules, let's get our foundation set. You know, a cyclic code isn't just any random code. It's actually a very specific subclass of linear block codes, and it literally has to satisfy two fundamental properties, the linearity property and the cyclic shift property. Let's see exactly what those entail. So the linearity property dictates three strict mathematical conditions. First, an all-zero word absolutely must be present and valid. Second, if you sum up any two valid code words, you've got to get another valid code word. And third, and this is a big one for error correction, the minimum distance between any two code words is exactly equal to the minimum Hamming weight of the non-zero elements. And hey, simply put, the Hamming weight is literally just your count of non-zero bits in a code word. Okay. The second rule is the cyclic shift property. This one requires that any left or right shift of your bits has to result in another perfectly valid code word within your block. Think of it kind of like a merry-go-round. For instance, take a code word like 0101. If you shift all those bits to the right, basically wrapping that last bit all the way around to the front, you get 1010. If 1010 is also in your block, boom, the right shift property holds true. Let's keep moving. Section 2, Polynomials in code algebra, the mathematical tools. Time to translate our binary into math. I want you to think of the message polynomial, m of x, as your foundational blueprint. The binary message bits, m0, m1, all the way up to m, k-1, actually serve as the coefficients for your increasing powers of x. Since a bit is always just a 1 or a 0, that specific power of x is simply present or it's absent. It's really that simple. And similarly, we have the generator polynomial, g of x. This uses our given generator bits as coefficients, and it acts as our primary operational tool for encoding. You can think of this polynomial as the key we use to mathematically transform our raw message into a secure, error-resistant code word. Moving right along to Section 3, non-systematic code generation using direct multiplication. Now, before we start crunching numbers, it is absolutely crucial to understand the difference between our two approaches. Non-systematic codes mix data and parity randomly, right? The parity position is totally undefined. Systematic codes, on the other hand, keep those parity positions distinctly separated from the message. We're going to start with a non-systematic approach. For non-systematic generation, your code word polynomial, capital V of x, is simply the direct product of the message and generator polynomials. It's just standard algebraic multiplication applied to our code framework. Let's make this concrete with a 7-4 cyclic code example. Here, 7 is our total block length n, and 4 is our message length k. If we convert our message vector 1011 from lowest to highest power, it gives us m of x equals 1 plus x squared plus x cubed. And for this example, we'll use a standard given generator polynomial, g of x equals 1 plus x cubed. When you expand those brackets, you're going to get multiple terms. But here is the absolute beauty of code algebra. We get to use the XOR operation. You see, in XOR math, there are no messy carryovers. Identical terms literally cancel each other out to 0. So if you get an x cubed plus an x cubed, poof, they just vanish. After all that XOR cancellation, extracting the coefficients from our simplified polynomial yields our final 7-bit non-systematic code word of all ones. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Notice how our original message of 1011 is completely hidden inside this sequence. That right there is the absolute hallmark of non-systematic coding. All right, let's switch gears. Section 4, Systematic Code Generation, the division method. This one is a bit more mathematically intensive. The systematic formula definitely requires a bit more finesse. We actually have to shift the message polynomial first. We do this by multiplying it by x to the power of n minus k. And then we add a remainder, r of x, which we calculate via polynomial long division. So step 1 is to calculate that shifted message polynomial. With n equals 7 and k equals 4, our shift is x cubed. Multiplying this into our m of x gives us x cubed plus x to the 5th plus x to the 6th. Hold on to this result because it's going to serve as the numerator for our upcoming division.
Now listen up, because this illustrates a common trap I see students fall into all the time. To prevent silly errors in polynomial long division, you absolutely must meticulously arrange both your shifted message and your generator polynomials in descending powers of x. Always write your highest powers first.
Actually, executing the long division requires multiplying to match the highest degree term of your divisor to your dividend, and then subtracting via that handy XOR cancellation we talked about. You literally just keep repeating this downward cascade until the degree of your remainder is strictly less than your divisor. And after carefully stepping through all those XR cancellations, almost everything falls away beautifully. We are left with a final mathematical remainder of simply 1. From there, we just substitute this remainder right back into our systematic formula, alongside that shifted message polynomial we established earlier. So, little v of x equals x to the 6th plus x to the 5th plus x cubed plus our remainder 1. Finally, extracting our coefficients from powers x to the 0 all the way up to x to the 6 gives us our final 7-bit systematic code word, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1. Look closely at what happened here. The right side, 1011, is our exact original message, perfectly preserved, while the left side isolates the parity bits. That is systematic perfection right there. Well, we've reached the end of our calculations for today, but the learning doesn't stop here. I want to leave you with a challenge. How would changing the initial 1011 message vector alter the polynomial long division and the resulting parity bits? Try applying this entire mathematical process to a completely different message vector. See for yourself how the long division shifts. Practice is really the only way to master information theory. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep calculating, and I'll see you next time.